So, um, figured I'd wait a week and actually do this. So I'm just gonna kind of shoot the shit with my thoughts. They're not really typed out. They should be, but they're not. So I just have Wikipedia in front of me in case I need to remember anything. So I went to see X-Men Apocalypse last Thursday. It was like the day before. And surprisingly, I had a good time. I enjoyed it for the most part. um, it's all right film. I actually am going back and rewatching X-Men Evolution. I got to season 4 yesterday. I've just been marathoning it for the past week. Still holds up surprisingly well. But I enjoyed the movie. Do I have gripes with it? Yes, I do. But it's one of the better films that X-Men has put out. But I guess if you're not counting the Wolverine movies and Deadpool, it's definitely in the top 4 out of 6. Yeah, 2/3. But anyways, so let me see if positives of the movie. The cast is pretty good. They do what they can. I like most of the new X-Men. I'll get to that in a second. The set design is good. The camera work is really good. Singer has this weird fetish though for doing shots and then having it be out of focus and then go in focus as it like moves. And I'm like, all right, whatever. Everyone has their own style, but I'm done watching Singer X-Men films. I think I'm really actually tired of it at this point because I've had to talk about it a lot on a podcast and stuff for Hybrid, and I think it's time we move on to different things. I think it's time. We'll take Singer off Fox movies while he goes and does 20,000 Leagues, and we'll take what's his face off of BVS. The Snyder. But let's go through the cast and see what I think about the characters. So, Professor X. He was good. I like James McAvoy. He's good. He does what he does perfectly fine. Worked fine for the script. Worked fine as a character. He was given enough to do. So, next. Fassbender as Magneto. Great job. Really, there's a scene in there when he's in Poland. Spoilers, by the way. But just seeing him and his family and his daughter, not Scarlet Witch, or I think her name is Nina, actually. But it was that's my chat. But seeing him move on and try to have a family and try to do what's best for him was a very interesting, different take that we've seen on Eric that we haven't seen before that I liked. I think it's crazy that, like crazy in a good way. It's just like a double whammy of fuck you to have both his wife and his daughter just killed by one arrow. Like one arrow, probably not with a metal tip, wiped out his whole family that he gave a shit about. So it's like, yikes. He does give the one fuck in the movie. It made me kind of chuckle. Just, who the fuck are you? And I'm like, that's a fair question. I think the movie could have done with a few more fucks in a couple places. Like, what the fuck? Who the fuck? Where the fuck? Just different fucks. But yeah. Jennifer Lawrence's Mystique. I like Jennifer Lawrence, but she does her best. I'm getting rid of this. She does her best when she actually cares. And I could tell she didn't really give a shit in this movie. She didn't seem to care. And I saw an interview and she was talking about, it made it a lot easier for them to do the Mystique costume for her now. And I'm like, great, so we're going to see more Mystique? No, we're not going to see more Mystique. And just, she seems kind of indecisive about where her loyalties lie. And she keeps referencing, she's like, yeah, I was on the X-Men, but I don't want to be on the X-Men, but I'm going to help you anyways. So it's just kind of like, pick a side, okay? Pick a motivation and stick with it. I was kind of surprised they didn't say anything about, they didn't make any relation between Mystique and Nightcrawler, which I guess just isn't going to happen considering how young they are, and that'd be really weird and kind of creepy. But I don't think she cared. Also, it kind of pissed me off at the end when she's like, You're no longer just mutants, you're X-Men, and kind of including herself and taking herself on as the new like teacher for the Danger Room. And I'm like, who the fuck are you? You're not on the X-Men. You're in the Brotherhood. The hell happened between the 80s and the late 90s where you just defected sides, which I guess we'll see in the next movie, which may be Starjammers or Dark Phoenix or some shit like that. But it's just, it seemed really phoned in. It seemed like she didn't care as much as she could have. So this is a drawback. She looks the part, but she doesn't care enough to really do anything, and she keeps switching sides, and I wasn't really feeling it. Oscar Isaac as Apocalypse. Oscar Isaac, great actor. Apocalypse, great character. Should not have died. Doesn't make any sense. I'll kind of excuse it because even though it's not really confirmed in the comments, I say it took 3 Omega level mutants to do it. Because we had Phoenix, Jean Grey, we had Storm, who should be an Omega level, and Magneto, who should also be an Omega level. I remember I think Phoenix Force is, but still, it took those 3 to wipe him out. But they didn't define his powers, like specifically. I thought it was molecular manipulation because he could make the armor at a will and he could morph people into the ground. But they never really specifically said what his powers were. The only time he really changed size was in the mind fight. That's actually another compliment I have to give to the movie. It was funny to see Professor X stand up and actually beat the shit out of Apocalypse. I did kind of laugh. I'm like, all right, I didn't expect that. That's kind of funny to see. It wasn't a bad scene. But the only time we actually got to see him grow, like the fact that he was so small, that bothered me too. So I'm just like, he's supposed to be this big imposing threat. His voice wasn't menacing. It was low and sinister. Would have made like a great Batman. Or a question. That would have been great for a DC hero, but it doesn't work for Apocalypse. It didn't make him as menacing as he could be. God damn it. Shut up. But it just doesn't. It says he has like telekinesis and telepathy. So that's cool, but he also has, like, control over matter. They didn't explicitly state or show, even, what he could do, like, the extent of his power. And the way he just kind of wrapped that piece of ground around Quicksilver's foot, he should have just done that to all the X-Men. There shouldn't have been a final act. But my biggest issue with it is that he shouldn't have died. The thing I know from the comics is that Apocalypse never really dies. They just kind of put him away or put him somewhere else where it takes him a long time to get back. So you can't really beat Apocalypse. And the fact that they beat him, their biggest threat yet, how are they going to top that? Like, even if you go to space, you could do Galactus, but I don't know. Not with this team. They're too young. They seem too inexperienced. Even in like 10 years' time, they won't be ready to take on the World Eater and the Silver Surfer. That's more of a Fantastic Four villain anyways. But yeah, so Apocalypse was just he could have been done a lot better. I'm also bothered that they completely rejected the Singer just has this weird way of just rejecting good ideas as soon as he gets them with the Wolverine suit. And we'll get to that too. And the perfect Apocalypse look that we could have had. Perfect cinematic look. But it's done and done. So we're not going to see it. Apocalypse is alright. Not the most threatening. He was a interesting villain, just not the most threatening for someone for someone whose name in the title didn't show up that much. So, Beast. Beast was good. Beast was fine. He serviced all he did. It was nice seeing Nicholas Hoult for the little bit of screen time that he got. I think it was pretty balanced between having Hank McCoy and then having him as actual Beast. So, that's cool. Moira McTaggart. I forgot about her character since First Class, and to see her again, I'm just like, oh shit, that's right, you were during that whole Cuban Missile Crisis incident. And having him, like, wipe her memory and then bring it back, that was fine, I guess. I kept trying to remember what she did because I remember seeing her in the suit, and I thought she was a mutant. It's like, no, she's just a friend. So, I don't know if she really should have been the final battle. Moira McTaggart wasn't badly acted or anything. She was just kind of there. She kind of helped lead a little bit, but she was there for the most part. It was more like Mystique that was doing ground leadership and Professor X that was guiding them. So we'll kind of get into the actual team now. Scott Summers is Cyclops. I liked him. He was good, nice, young. I feel like there were a couple moments when he was kind of dumb. Maybe that's just me, but just a handful. Like nothing that really took away from the character, but something that pulled me out a little bit from the movie. Like when they get back to the mansion after it explodes, and he's just kind of like, "It's all my fault. I should have been there. It should have been me." It's like, no, it shouldn't. No one would have expected the mansion to blow up. Havoc certainly didn't. Like it was nice to see interaction for all the 5 minutes that it was there between, Alex and Scott, between Cyclops and Havoc, and they should still be together. It didn't really confirm that Havoc was dead, but they didn't find a body, so they just kind of assumed so. Because I do want to see Havoc again. He's a cool character. It's nice to see the interaction between the Summers brothers. They have a very good dynamic and evolution, and I think that's a good thing that they could have brought over to Apocalypse as a benefit. And what they had there wasn't bad, but, I would have liked to see more. So Cyclops taking the blame on himself was kind of dumb because he had entirely no control of that. No one could have predicted Apocalypse was going to go there, so that's not on you. I get he was upset, but that wouldn't be like the first thing I think. Why do they keep talking? Okay. Sorry. But Sophie Turner is Jean Grey. Acting-wise, I can tell this is one of her first times having to do an American accent because the way that English and British people do American English as opposed to English, I suppose. The Queen's English. They kind of over-accentuate words a little bit, but her performance was fine. It was very serviceable. She did her role as well as she could. I think she did fine. I'm looking forward to seeing her in the future and kind of Jean Grey and Scott's interactions. I'm glad they didn't force a romance in this first movie. Thank God. They kind of alluded to it and they grew a little closer, but they didn't force that they're going to be together or that tragedy is going to happen or whatever. So I like that. It'll give us time to grow with the new actors and everything. So that works for me. She just needs to work on her accent a little bit, but it'll come with time. But I think she did a good job of what she was given. Oh boy. All right. Psylocke. Olivia Munn is Psylocke. Psylocke was great for all 2 minutes and 7 lines that she had. Yeah. And I'm just going through all the characters one by one, and I may talk about them in groups and chunks, but still. I think Olivia Munn was good. They certainly gave her a comic accurate look. They didn't do it for Apocalypse, but they got it down straight for Psylocke. She kind of disappeared near the end, so it says here apparently she's supposed to be Pestilence. Okay, I don't know why he picked Psylocke, but I do kind of want to see more of her as, I guess, a villain down the road, since I don't think she died. So it'd be interesting to see what they do with her, if anything. I hope they do, or else that's just kind of a waste of talent. But yeah, no, she got one of the issues with this film is that to me, the Horsemen were very interesting characters that they devoted no time to. They just kind of pick, except for Magneto. Magneto kind of had an arc. So yeah, they should definitely have done more and should do more with Psylocke. Because I think she's interesting. She has a pretty interesting backstory, even though it's kind of linked to the mainstream Marvel universe, but they get kind of fuzzy, but whatever. Havoc, kind of talked about him. What a nice little cameo he had before he blew the mansion up and died. Yep. Also, Havoc didn't really mention Scott existing anymore. Oh, another issue. It's not really an issue. It's just a thing that just goes on at Fox. Fox has the most broken timelines I've ever seen in my fucking life. It's awful. Because if I remember correctly, First Class took place in the 60s. Now it's the 80s. Because they never really... I don't think they specify what year. But even still, that's about a 20-year, 2-decade gap between then. And Havoc looks almost exactly the same. It's been about 4 years real time. I guess that X gene makes people age slower, but that doesn't make any fucking sense. How he's he should be 30 or 40, and Cyclops is like 16. I get that one's older than the other, but you didn't really give me that because the actors themselves are like 6 years apart. So, what the fuck? And his death was the only reason his death happened was to give us a good scene for the next character who did a great job. That was Quicksilver. Quicksilver's scene I had seen twice on Instagram, oddly enough, before going into the movie, but actually seeing it in the theater was good. This actually gives me another issue I have with the film. There are a lot of times when there is a lot of unpolished CGI and green screen. And one of the very clear ones is in Quicksilver's scene when he's running down the hallway. I think it could have been done just a smidge better because the blend between the character himself and the background behind him just didn't fit well enough. It's the one you see in the trailer. But Evan Peters did a good job. I don't understand why Peter didn't say anything to Magneto about being his kid, because that would have been the perfect motivation to have Magneto pull out and actually start fighting against Apocalypse. It would have been great motivation, but to not have him do it and just kind of hold it and postpone it till later doesn't really make much sense. Also, I do hope we get to see... I don't think Nina should have died. It would have been good to see an interaction between like Peter and Nina and Magneto, and like the differences between Peter kind of being the kid that was straight away and Nina, the young kid who controlled nature. That's a baller ass fucking power that she had before she kicked the bucket. So yeah, but Quicksilver, he was good. Good character. It was fun again to see him also beat the shit out of Apocalypse kind of in a slow, fast motion. I'm like, that's a very creative thing that you did there, and then have him stop by the root and break his muscles. I am kind of surprised that this Quicksilver actually doesn't have speed healing. Apparently neither does the one from Age of Ultron. But I know the Flash has super healing, but I guess Quicksilver doesn't, so. Alright, but yeah, one of the dilemmas with Peter was that of deciding whether or not to tell his dad that that's his son. And he should have, but whatever, it happened. Nightcrawler, who, do they refer to him as Kurt at any point? Maybe in the opening when he's fighting Angel? I don't know. Again, proof that I get it's kind of a new timeline. They kind of Star Trek the shit, but I'm just, I guess, assuming that they go in, you think about it in a linear pathway. I guess the interactions are completely different because Days of Future Past just fucked everything. They don't meet Kurt in the president's office in X2 like they usually would have. They meet Kurt here as a teen. Kurt was fine. I liked Nightcrawler. Powers were pretty accurate. Still that rift between him and Mystique, but whatever. I'm looking forward to seeing more Cody Smith McPhee. Did a good job with the stuff he was given. Again, they having so many characters, they didn't balance it as well. That was one of the pros of Civil War, was a good balance between all the characters, and this one is actually really lacking in that. Alexandra's ship is Storm. One of the complaints I saw is that they didn't specify where Storm was from. If I remember correctly, she's from, I think, Nigeria or Kenya. I think Kenya. I'm trying to go from memory, so I don't quite remember. But it pissed me off that the reason she has white hair and the reason she has her powers to her full capability is because of Apocalypse. I think one of the things that you should have had as a dynamic between the X-Men and the Four Horsemen was the idea of control over their powers. And the big thing with the X-Men that Mystique was saying was just, they're like, we don't know how to control their powers. And she's like, then don't. I think with them all being so young at the time that this takes place, especially like Angel and Storm specifically, it should have been that she didn't really have a lot of control over it, but she did have the capability to. I don't think Apocalypse should have unlocked it. I think she already should have had that, but he helped her control it more. That would have worked. But it pissed me off that she had the black hair and it went to white. Should have already been white. I think her eyes should have been blue too to make for more actually. There's a lot of things they should have fixed for Storm. But Alexandra's ship seems very excited about the part. I'm interested to see what she does with it later on. They gave her barely any lines, but from what I could tell, her accent was mostly pretty good. It was all right. I didn't think it was bad. It was around the same areas, same ability as Black Panther. So it was good for what it was. I'm kind of curious to what actual African people think about those two characters and how they're being portrayed by Americans. I'm skeptical of seeing Alexander in the future, mostly because I've heard about the reception of her in the past, specifically for the Aaliyah movie. But I'm interested to see what she does. She looks like she's very, very interested and passionate about doing this role, and seems very dedicated to it. So hopefully she'll do it justice in like future films. So we'll see. Colonel Stryker came out of nowhere, kinda. We'll talk about Colonel Stryker and Jackman at the same time. That scene with the Weapon X program and all that was so shoehorned in there. I know they did it to please big fans of Wolverine, kind of give them some fan fodder. It wasn't necessary, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad scene. It was interesting to see, Weapon X form of Hugh Jackman, Weapon X form of Wolverine, because they're the same person now. But it was a fine scene. Stryker's a dick. Stryker has been a dick, and Stryker will always be a dick. Stryker actually resembles one of my friends, and we let him know, and it's hilarious. We've been laughing about it since then. But yeah, Stryker seems pretty spot on. It doesn't make any sense, though, because we saw at the end of Days of Future Past, that was another big issue, is that Mystique was playing as Stryker. So did she just kind of leave, and Stryker's just kind of like, yeah, this is what I wanted to do anyway, so fuck it, whoever did it got it for me. But yeah, Stryker's an asshole, has been an asshole, will be an asshole. He was fine. Warren as Angel, because fuck your timeline. He's not going to be an X3, fuck that shit. Warren was fine for what he did. I like his music choice. He has a good taste in metal. It doesn't really specifically explain why he became Angel to Archangel. Actually, let's go, before I continue, which one was Storm? Storm is Famine. Psylocke is Pestilence. Magneto is... He is War, so I guess that means Angel is Death, because the Angel of Death, and fuck you. But Ben Hardy, again, issue, they didn't get enough development time-wise at all for any of these characters. Well, not any, for the Horsemen, who I thought the Horsemen were very interesting characters, but you don't fully see what their motivation is to do this. You kind of see it for Magneto because he's a bigger character. But when you're introducing new characters, you need to flesh out their reasoning to be there. Raison d'etre. Angel was just kind of there. He was in mutant battles in, what was it, Germany? And then they let him go. And Apocalypse was like, I want that one. It looks like a bird. I'm going to give him metal wings instead of regular wings. So does Warren still have those? Do they go back to feathers? Because that kind of sucks. But, it's cool that he has his little powers or whatever. He does what he can. But, yeah, Warren was fine. Jubilee! Her scenes got cut to fuck. Because I remember way back when they first started releasing press photos was the scene of them at the mall. That scene of them at the mall was like 2 minutes. And they kind of made a jab at X3, but I think in doing so, they also shot themselves in the foot because they're just like, yeah, Return of the Jedi. They say the third one's always the worst. Did you forget that you're the end of your own trilogy? Supposedly. That's kind of taking down the ship just to kill the captain. Kind of shot yourself in the foot there. But Jubilee, she looked the part. I don't remember if she talked. I feel like she did, but we didn't get to really see any extent of her powers. Hopefully we'll get to see her later on. But because I wanted to see more Jubilee. X-Men has been trying to make Jubilee happen since the 90s. Give me a reason to. Don't just cut her shit. Yeah, so I do want to see more of Jubilee. Maybe when the final version comes out on DVD, we'll get to see more. I guess I'll have to pick that up. But overall, other things I have. Caliban was fine. He was an interesting use of Stanley, interesting use of the Blob. Thank God they didn't kind of Wolverine it with Wolverine origins, but we know shit's already fucked. I'm still mad that Darwin was not one of the I'm still salty over the death of Darwin ever since First Class. Doesn't make any sense. Still pisses me off. But do I have any other things to say about the movie? It's an entertaining film. If you can catch it for matinee, do it. It's not, if you got like $5-7 to blow, and like it's a long movie too. Because I went in at 7, I came out at 10. Shit's almost 3 hours long, including credits, including credits and trailers. But the movie it's an entertaining film. I don't want any more Singer X-Men. I want to be off it because I feel like even though he has a passion for it, I just think he's tired of it. I think some of these, and from what I hear, that he wanted to go more Dark Phoenix rather than Apocalypse. And you can kind of see where it was because Apocalypse is really lacking. There are places where like I said before, there are places where that CGI is bad. There's a scene where it's overlooking the destruction after they beat Apocalypse. And it's like a busted bunch of metal that was just fall into the ocean. And I'm like, what is with these PS2 graphics? It was bad. There are honestly a couple of times when my theater laughed. I was surprised a couple people actually clapped at the end of this. Like I saw, but if I remember correctly, the first words I heard leaving this theater was that I still don't think they did full justice to Apocalypse. I shit you not. It was the first words I heard when I was going to my car right after I left. I'm like, yeah, they should have done more with Apocalypse. You should not have used him for this film. You kind of wasted a very, very good villain who you could have come back later on in later films and really get your franchise to be going strong. I don't know what Fox was thinking with this, but there's that. Shoehorning things, not explaining characters enough. I know I'm saying a lot of bad things about it, but I actually did enjoy this movie. It's shot well, it looks good. A lot of the acting is very good, if not at least serviceable for what they're given. So I'd at least give it a shot. If you can catch it at a matinee or on Redbox or something, because I was a student, I got like $2 off. But maybe go with some people just when you have some free time, have a little fun with it. It's a fun little flick. I'm interested to see what they do later on, but I'm not hyped for it really. I'm just interested. It was an entertaining film. I'll give it that. If you want to give it a rating, I give it like is banking around the B area, around an 8 out of 10, kinda. Also, the Essex Corp name drop, that was neat. That's really something fans will get, but I guess they kind of did the same thing with Apocalypse. So I feel like X-Men could have a little bit better cameos for their main movies, not kind of like Wolverine or Deadpool, because Deadpool's were funny. Deadpool just straight up said it, but for this, just like, we may have Essex Corp, which means you might get to see Mr. Sinister, maybe, who wouldn't be a bad villain to have them fight, but every sequel you kind of want to go bigger, but it'd be interesting to see them actually go smaller. But yeah, hopefully we'll see more of these characters. So, yeah, that's basically it. If you like this video, give it a like, give it a comment, subscribe, whatever the fuck. Anyways, later.